Good morning. It is Tuesday, January 14th. I'm not heading into the office immediately. I got to go take my car in for service. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to take a little bit different route and get to see a little bit of Huntington Beach. While we do it, I'll flip the camera around. You can kind of see the terrain as we go around and do this. But today, I want to give you my 2 cents on the California fires. This is completely, I'm not an expert, I don't do it, but based on just my experience here in California, based on the 12 years I've lived here, the fact that we live with a fairly consistent imminent threat of fires all the time, I'll just give you my hot take on it. And what it comes down to more than anything is that this was preventable. I don't think you could have prevented the fire from happening, but you could just certainly prevented this disaster that is happening right now. And when I say disaster, I'm hypercritical of the media. I come from a background in the media, and I can tell you this, that normally they look for a puddle and call it a flood, but this is not that. This is something that is, I don't even know that the pictures and videos can do any justice to the absolute devastation that has happened and how it has affected all of Southern California. Just to kind of give you a rough idea of where Huntington Beach is, for those that don't know, to where the fires are. So if you kind of look at, in best case way to describe it is if you look at the LA basin, it's kind of divided into 2 sections. There's kind of this upper kind of C section. I'm probably backwards depending on how this is going to view. That part, kind of covers starting up in Ventura County, and then you come down along the Pacific Coast Highway. Eventually you reach Malibu, that's Pacific Palisades, LA, and all those little beach cities that run around there kind of create this kind of C shape that eventually goes out to San Pedro, which is what I'm looking at right now. And that's kind of where the end of LA County starts. It kind of cuts back into Long Beach, which is still part of LA, and then you get into Orange County. That's when you start hitting places like Seal Beach, Huntington Beach, Laguna Beach, Newport Beach, San Clemente. It just goes all the way down till eventually you come to Camp Pendleton, south of us, and then onto San Diego. So that upper C, that upper section, if you looked at actual LA proper, is right at the bottom of that beginning of that kind of that curve back out, and Pacific Palisades is right there in that area, and that's where the most devastating fire is so far, and let's hope it stays there. But the number of people that have been the number of homes and buildings that have been burned is, I think, now reaching well over 10,000. It's sad. And when you look at why I say was it preventable, is that this is a very predictable scenario that happens often in California. And we have something that we call the Santa Ana winds. So this has been a dry year this year. But the last 2 years have been very wet years, and we've been worried about flooding and landslides. So, and this is not new to LA and Southern California. It's something we live with all the time. Why it was preventable is the Santa Ana winds so the normal wind pattern for Southern California is normally an onshore breeze, meaning the wind is coming off the ocean, bringing with it moist air and cooler air. When we have Santa Anas, it does the opposite. It comes from the north, it comes from the east, depending on the time of year and the weather patterns, and it blows from the desert into the ocean. And when that happens, those winds are very, very high. And then they hit these canyons, and they hit this mountain range that surrounds all of the LA basin, and you just create these downdrafts, and you create these opportunities for fires. And there are people way better at explaining all of this, but ever since we moved here, we have been aware of this. We have been aware of what happens when these types of winds occur. And the warnings were 3 and 4 days out. And the sad part, what was preventable, was the mass destruction that happened. There could have been preparation done in advance. There could have been mobilization of firefighters into the areas most likely to prone to this type of fire. You could have had people, transport planes that carry water and then do the flame retardants mobilized and ready to go. None of that happened. There was zero preparation for what was potentially would be a disaster. And we can sit around and point fingers and blame but it is a systemic problem that comes from the lack of competent leadership in this city, state, and I would say in many parts of our country. Why we have a difficult time electing competent officials to manage the things that we pay them for. We pay well over at the end of the day, I am paying well over 50% of my income to taxes, both with the state and federal. So it is not like there is not enough money. I mean, I forget, they always say California is like the 6th largest economic country, if you want to call it a country, in the world. I mean, it is the amount of money that flows in and out of this state is remarkable. So it's not that for a lack of financial resources. It is not for a lack of a community that is willing to support these efforts. It is just we have incompetent leaders that spend more time worrying about nonsense instead of doing their job, which is, in this case, to protect us from a wildfire and protect us from fires in general. Now, I have an opinion on what's going to, I think, ultimately happen. I'm going to flip the camera around right now because we're getting to PCH. I'm at the corner of Warner and Pacific Coast Highway, for those that know this area. And this is Sunset Beach that then eventually goes into Huntington Beach. And I'm going to flip the camera around so you can see it. We're at Bolsa Chica, and it's a pretty cool. It's a pretty damn cool place to live. So, continuing, one of the things that is a real challenge when looking at trying to find blame, and you want to point at all of these people, but we have leadership that left the country just as this is happening. And it was imminent. It was imminent. It was going to happen no matter what. We knew that there would be fires. The level of devastation, obviously not, but we weren't prepared for it. And we know that there was the main reservoir that feeds water to the Palisades area. That reservoir was closed for repairs. Well, the reason that was closed for repairs is that they needed to repair a liner that goes over the water to protect it from contamination. At least that's my understanding at this point. What we now know is that is normally 6 to 8 week fix. This reservoir has been empty for 1 year at least. So it's obvious that people that are in charge, we're not concerned. We're not at all concerned about what could possibly, potentially, and most likely would happen, a need for an amount, that the water that's in that reservoir. So you look at those levels of incompetence. The mayor, who did cut the budget, and a fire chief that explicitly said these budget cuts will inhibit our ability to fight, especially wildfires. So all we hear about is wildfires. We've been hearing climate change. This is not climate change. This has nothing to do with climate change. This has nothing to do with anything other than lack of leadership and willing to use the resources for which they should be used for, which is to protect the citizens of this city and state. And they are consistently choosing not to do that. So for those that don't know, this is Bolsa Chica. It is a state beach. You can actually, we're coming up on the RV center there. I don't know if you can really see it. The angle of this camera is a little weird right now. But it's a great place. If you want to learn how to surf, you just want to enjoy a day at the beach, this place is amazing. They have fire pits that you can come, these big cement fire pits where you can actually have a fire on the beach. I mean, it is quintessential Southern California right here. One of the amazing things about Huntington Beach is their beaches. They are long, they are wide, there's tons of sand, and the water itself is pretty amazing. Normally, it's rare there's a day that you can't catch surf here, but today is one of those days that it is a frickin' lake out there. There is we call it Lake Huntington on days like this, and unfortunately, there's no ways for you guys to check out right now. But I'm gonna flip this camera a little bit here to the right. Hopefully you can see it. I don't know if you can. Hopefully you can see a little bit of the beach. This is now another section we're coming up on. For those that are surfers will know that it's called the Cliffs. It's actually a really cool spot to surf as well, and can produce some really fun and cool waves. But it's also known by other locals as Dog Beach. It's the only place along in Huntington that you're allowed to bring your dog. And it is another really cool place on the weekends. This parking lot is an absolute shit show. And if you're not here by 7 in the morning, you're probably not going to get a parking spot, and you're going to be sitting here waiting for someone to leave. But during the week, you can see right now it's pretty well open. If there was surf today, this parking lot would be a lot more full with a bunch of people who are out surfing. Let's just get back to the fires. I think we need to start having a real honest conversation. A real honest conversation about why not the fires happen, not why wildfires happen, as much as what are our leaders doing with the money that we give them. We literally give them. They actually take from us our money. And if they're not using that as a number one priority to keep us safe from criminals or keep us safe from fires, then what's the point? That's the number one responsibility of your city. Give us fresh water. Make sure that we have a safe place to live. And then play your little social projects, play your little things. Make that your priority. But no, we're cutting budgets. We're cutting budgets while we're spending billions in this state. Billions, not little billions. $40 billion is a number I heard recently, that we have been fighting to fight the homeless situation in California. And we're coming up on some police doing some police action here. I'm not sure really what's going on. It's probably somebody doing something they're not supposed to be doing. Speaking of homeless, very likely is a homeless person in that RV. So really not sure what's going on, but that's fairly common sight to see while we're here in Huntington Beach. It does have quite a few homeless people, but for the most part, no lot of issues. Our cops here take it pretty seriously, as you can see. So they don't let people do stupid stuff. But going back to, we just need to start electing officials that have everyone's best interest. And going back to the homeless, $40 billion plus, and we've increased homelessness in our state by more than 40%. Something's not working right. We're wasting a lot of money and getting negative results. Getting negative results. It is doing the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing. So we need to figure out what the problem is. I know that it is not as simple as me just talking on this phone, but we need to start electing officials that are willing to make the tough decisions to do what is right for all of its citizens, especially the ones that are paying the taxes in this state. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm getting close to where I need to drop my car off. Not really sure how well this video was today. Hopefully the stabilization on this camera did a good job, but it looks like it's a big shake-off for me. Hopefully you got something out of it. Do me a favor. Don't give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down. Go down in the comment section. Tell me what you hated about this video. Tell me what I need to be doing differently. And I'll flip this thing back around. And just want to let you know that I'll get back in the sun. I really do appreciate you listening, and I'll be back to you tomorrow.